we're heading straight back to the brick films. Alright, let's get it, let's go.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
This is a great video to begin with today. The framing throughout the video was actually pretty solid. And I like that I could notice that you're not really relying on keeping one frame frozen. You actually kept a whole lot of frames, especially for like the battles, to be original frames. This isn't really noticed by everybody, but the ones that do notice it can really feel the extra fanciness of the extra effort that you put in. The music choice and the audio was perfectly fine in the video. I've noticed this, but sometimes when camera's changing focus, you always have a character I've noticed in like the bottom corners. I appreciated that you do switch up the angle when that happens, so you can actually like look at the character, but hopefully you're actually able to do this. But when the camera changes focus, you can also try to move the camera lower. I don't know what you're filming on. If it's a phone, this is possible by switching the rotation of what it is, because most phones now basically have the camera on the corners, so you can actually rotate the phone so you can change the height of the camera. But if not, it's fine. You can keep up what you're doing. It doesn't really hurt the video. What could actually end up hurting your videos later on if you get better at animating is the lighting, because the lighting throughout the entire video is pretty much the same, but it removes the creativity you add for the rest of the video, because all the creative animation choices are there, but it doesn't translate to the lighting. Maybe to depict different rooms, you have different kinds of lighting. Some are darker, maybe some are more stage-like, and like for majority of the video you could have a few rooms where the light covers the entire room. And I don't really have to mention the story much, because the pacing was very well throughout the entire thing, so I'm just gonna be giving you a 8.5 out of 10. There was nothing crazy extreme about this video, but it was not bad at all. This was a very well structured brick film through and through.
George.
You said this video was made for a school assignment, so I'll keep that in mind when I review it. This video did have it to rely a lot on the characters you made in your previous videos, and you did that well. And it needed to be well in this video, because this video is educational, and educational does not automatically mean entertaining. I don't think it was meant to be funny, but I found it funny that the guy who like discovered Pangea stayed on the ground the entire video, and it was never brought up at all. Nobody even addressed that he was still on the floor, and I think that was actually really funny. Elephant in this room in this video is that we're just looking at Batman and Robin standing, and I feel like you could have added more time to the diversity of like hand movements they do, instead of relying on still frames. Or another thing you could have added is the same way you showed the earth as a Lego piece, you could have done that for other things mentioned, like the tectonic plates. This would be necessary to make the visuals of this video start competing with the audio. You don't have to do this, but it will make this video even funnier if you kept it as canon for the rest of your series and you just never brought it up. But like if you have a playlist of all the episodes in the series, you just have it there and then you just never mention it at all in the videos that come right after. Overall, I feel like you still just could have put more effort in this video. Even though it's educational, it does not mean you can't go in high effort. Like for example, I also sometimes make educational videos, but I just don't post them on YouTube, and I still make sure that they still look exactly the same quality level of my actual videos. I'm probably not going to post them because every now and then my face appears, and in one of them I made one of my teachers a villain, but who knows, maybe I'll actually begin posting them. Yeah, but overall this video is like a 4.5 out of 10. The standards for you are higher because I know you can do better, and I know this even more because I'm a big fan of your channel. What would help you 1000% is be using cotton for the smoke effects. I'm glad you're already using some creative choices like this video using the tank and all, especially because you're still new on YouTube. I know you've probably heard it to keep your camera still when you're animating, but when he's shooting, it's perfectly fine to have the camera shaking around. And also when you're using sound effects, make sure you use something that's louder and feels more aggressive, because the sound effects here make them feel like they're actual toys, and they don't actually feel like they're trying to resemble their bigger version. Something I advise you to do is to tape up the corners of the base plates so they can stick on the platform and they don't move around when you're animating. I promise you, this is going to save you so much time, especially when you need to film somewhere else, and that's perfectly worked for me since I'm still filming on the floor, and I think I've only filmed like one actual brick film that's not been on the floor. And yeah, to this day, for all the years I've been on YouTube, I still film on the floor. That's how effective this idea is. For you being so new to YouTube, this is easily 7.5 out of 10. Make sure you keep this up, because I don't want to find out later on that you just quit making animations. I'm glad to see you basically have been able to master having a dark lit room that is still bright enough to be visible. I've seen some people just try to underlight or underexpose, and it just never works. You're actually able to pull it off. Also, great job of having the camera move around, and it's not being edited on. I can see you're actually doing it manually, and it's still really smooth. This also goes for the lighting you gave off when they were firing at each other. And this especially goes to the flamethrower. The only thing here I could see that could have been improved on is just the camera angles, because it just seems to be the same stage-like feeling, and that's basically I would just try to experiment more with the camera angles, and you're set to go. 9.9 out of 10. I've noticed that in a bit, you've already been able to change your framing to be better, but I can still notice that you still have a lot of headroom in some parts. I can see you still zoom in a lot, and if you're going to be doing that, you can actually use that on your advantage to fix the headroom issue. Having a lot of headroom isn't bad. I've done it before, and I'm guilty of it, absolutely, but the thing is that there comes to a point where it just feels like you're just missing out on what's in the video. But luckily, you're actually getting better at that, so I don't really get that feeling anymore. If there's anything you still need to improve on more is absolutely speaking louder in your videos. And by the way, to speak louder, it doesn't actually mean to just speak louder in real life. You actually just get used to speaking louder in videos. You can watch my earlier reviews and you can hear how dead and boring I sound and almost impossible to hear. You can actually just watch my videos as a whole and you can notice this. Keep this up. I'm seeing a lot of progress, but for now, this is a 7 out of 10. I've mentioned this to a lot of people before, but you don't need to wait entirely for something to happen. Like for example, when a clone trooper does something and then Jar Jar Binks attacks, don't be afraid to have those both things happen at the same time. That's what makes it all realistic, or at least have more energy. And when Jar Jar Binks is lowering his lightsaber, you don't need to show the entire animation of him doing that. You could just cut to the next part of the video. And another way to have energy is by having the Jar Jar Binks figure move like everything else that you did in the video. If you're gonna have someone be battling, you have to make them battle. And I know you can do this because you made every other character move, so I don't understand why you can't do that for Jar Jar Binks. Also, try to speed up your frame rate since it just goes really slow throughout the video. You don't have to take all these things harshly, but you should take them as criticism because you will need this to continue getting better at animations. But for now, this is a 3 out of 10. I also have some similar criticisms for this video, however, it's going to be a far longer list. Despite this video being almost 17 minutes long, this video could have been cut down to a solid 4 minutes. The issue is more extreme version of what was the other video, because this one, instead of waiting for someone to finish doing a slight movement, you wait that and then after like 6-7 seconds afterwards of absolutely nothing happening, and that really wastes a lot of the time. And I also have to mention the AI voices. Adding AI voices that don't really add anything to the video just feels lazy, like if you didn't really care about the video you were making. And even if you're not good at actual voice acting, it's still very important to use real voice acting because that turns on the part of your brain that has to compromise or filter out what you need to add in a video and what you don't. Because when you're voice acting, you can figure out, oh wait, this doesn't sound right, I don't feel like this should be in the video, and you cut that out and you minimize a scene to have less dialogue, because sometimes less is more. You can tell something is high quality when you can simplify it and it still works. And I do believe extending a video to be unnecessarily long is actually a selfish idea. I also think of this in my videos, that if a video doesn't have to be any longer than it is, I'm not going to make it any longer than it is, because I shouldn't be wasting someone else's time for something you could have gotten for less time. So cut your videos shorter and use actual voice acting. And just like the video before, you need to make sure you let things overlap, because that also makes things feel more natural. It always feels tiring and exhausting seeing a scene take more time than it needs to, especially when everyone's taking their own part of the video. And also the thing I mentioned about AI voice, yeah, there was a lot of lines in this video that were just very unnecessary, like when the Sinister Six introduces themselves. That could have been minimized to just the cameras panning across the Sinister Six and the audience would have known exactly what it means. And the Miles part could have just been cut down to just Miles saying he's gotta go. And as he's saying his stuff about leaving, he could have already started to swing away. Or an alternative idea, Miles is already gone and he's having a phone call with Peter Parker about how he's going on a vacation or something. It's the same idea, but it's just taken more creatively and more time put into it. I'm not gonna give this video a rating, but I just want you to take all this stuff as criticism, because these things are crucial for your growth. Alright, this video is really short, but I still have a lot of things to say about it. That's why I made a short form version on the YouTube Shorts, but I also made this version right now. I'm pretty sure the motion blur here is added artificially, I mean like later on, but even if that's true, it looks amazing. I try to get this kind of subtle movement that you have in your videos into mine, but the thing is that usually since I film low light, my phone likes to randomly brighten up some images, so I have to redo it again and again, so it just ends up being choppier when I remove those images. But nonetheless, your subtle movements, like when the guy was just standing and he just slightly turned, there were a lot of frames you added in that, but it was not in a bad way, it was the best way possible. Your subtle forms of animation just make them feel way more human. For the fast stuff, you already got it in the bag. But easily, this video is a 10 out of 10. There's really not much you can improve on, if at all.
Alright, for this video you still have the issue where everything just feels way too quiet, or well, at least for the sound effects. You could get away with filming exactly the same way you do if you just sped up the frame rate. But you have done a better job at minimizing what dialogue is necessary and what dialogue isn't, because I remember watching one of your earlier videos and it was a way bigger issue. The framing is also better here. And also when you're filming in low light, when you want to add more brightness, what you should be doing instead is keeping the ISO to the lowest, but be increasing the shutter. I assume you're using the stop motion app in like mobile, so it should let you do this. We do it like this, it doesn't artificially brighten it up, it just takes more time to take each photo, but it's just actually good because then you actually get a higher quality photo. Later on in the video, the music just gets way too loud, but it's not really that big of an issue compared to how it was earlier on, so I feel like this is genuinely an improvement. 7.5 out of 10. You're the brickfilm channel that inspires me the very most, so I'll be way more critical with you compared to everyone else because my standards for you are so much higher. What you did with clay in this video is something I've never seen before done in LEGO, or at least to the extreme you went. When Squidward took off the mask, it just shocked me. I didn't expect it, but you just made it live action just for a fraction of a second. And again, this is even more seamless than what you did earlier. And you blew me away just seeing how Deadpool was moving. However, in the Deadpool fight, there was a part where the camera, like when you switch it to live action, it wasn't as seamless. Like the camera was slightly higher. You should have fixed that. And I know you can because you've done it before, and when you do it, it generally looks perfect. I know it takes place in the back rooms, but the Deadpool fight that happened just felt a little bit too quiet. Maybe you should cut out the empty space of when nothing was happening, because I already know you can do an awesome fight scene. There was just too much empty space in between of the move. But those moves, wow, they were absolutely fascinating. I can't even compare. Also, I love that you made the entities from the back rooms even larger than they are in the back rooms videos, because now imagining them in real life is actually scary. And you also know you did an amazing job if you make something in LEGO actually feel terrifying. I don't know if the editing softwares you're using actually let you do this, but you can change the central frequencies to be louder, because some of the sound effects, especially when it was being blasted, just felt like it was from further away, and that kind of lowered the quality of your video. I know you need some empty noise for the back rooms to feel like the back rooms, but it still felt like, especially with the Deadpool parts, there were just a little bit too many of them. You could also made Deadpool sound louder by raising his specific volume, and I feel like you could have also done that for Squidward. Compared to the other sounds, it just felt a little bit quieter, and that made them harder to listen to. But nonetheless, this video was breathtaking. 9.9 out of 10. I'm glad you didn't suffer from the issue that when a lot of people are in a battle, it feels like they're just waiting for each other. The crash out in this video went absolutely above and beyond with the way he did. And when he threw someone in the sky, it felt funny because even though the animation was off and there was a pause, it was way more comedic when he actually went flying. So at least any odd things that happened to the animation were justified with comedy. And it's not like the animation was bad, because it really felt aggressive and fast, and that's exactly what this video needed. I would, however, work on the framing, because there's some shots, especially when the crash out was fighting the zombie, that half of the video was just above the head, and so it made them look really low, or the camera was just not really on them. It didn't hurt the video much because all the fighting stuff were still very visible. But for now, this is a solid 9 out of 10. Great music choice too. I already reviewed this video in short form, but the reason I want to talk about it in long form too is because there's so many other things I can mention. Like I already mentioned how beautiful the set design is, but I also like that you went out of your way to use like cloth for the water, and it's been done before, but the thing about yours is that you gave it a super wide angle and it just felt more real just by doing that alone. In the short form, I also mentioned that I like the creative choice of having your actual hand for the coin part, but I didn't mention that the small parts of the animation that were super subtle, but they added so much more to the energy for the video. Especially like, for example, when the guy took the beanie off the wall, there was a slight shake on the hook holding it, and that just added more, especially when the guy opened the door and there was a little bit of Lego smoke that was made out of bricks. And I still wonder how people like you are willing to do that. I right now just use cotton because it's just simpler to use, but going out of your way to use bricks just feels like a whole other level. With the quality of all of that, then seeing the guy hold onto the paper, but you can clearly see it's just added onto. You could have probably blended it together better, especially with the fact that it wasn't like correctly put onto the piece of brick and made it all the way to the corners. I'm working on a video that does take place in O Block, and I'm thinking of doing the building thing you did for the space around the video for set design reasons. So you know you're making good video when the guy reviewing is actually taking notes and trying to get inspired by it. But overall, this video is also a 9.5 out of 10. It's shorter than the backrooms one, but it still did exactly what it wanted to, and it went above and beyond. I will forever support that if it comes out of a creator. This video is genuinely a masterpiece. Not only is it fast paced but in the chaotically fun way, but it also feels like how it used to feel like making Lego videos when I was younger. No bounds, anything is possible, super extreme, all the jokes are right in your face, but they don't feel forced. This video did so much in such a small amount of time, but I was able to nail each one of them, and that's just absolutely fascinating. And the best part of this video is that I'm recording this right now in the morning, and this video actually woke me up really well because it actually is inspiring me right now. I love when I watch a video and it actually inspires me to actually work on a video more today. You guys need to watch this yourselves. The energy of this video is out of this world. A 10 out of 10. If I want to be super picky, I guess you can work better on the framing with the headroom on top. But I also feel like the small things like that, especially like you can see behind the sky, that adds more to the chaotic energy of this video. So I feel like it actually adds more to the video. But anyways, this is the last video for the review today. So I hope you guys like and subscribe. And if you want to be in the next one, just tell me. Hopefully I'll see it because I want to make another one this long. And I actually enjoy making these reviews. But for now, that's all we got for today. Like and subscribe, share, and see you guys next time. Peace.